What's happening, my friends? John Hiley here with the Kingdom Power Life, bringing you guys what I feel to be an absolute amazing training today. Really going deep into some ancient Hebrew wisdom and then kind of tying it all together with the ultimate power that we have today of Jesus Christ, and bringing that all together in such a way that you'll fully understand that God doesn't change, my friends. I mean, the same God in the Old Testament is the same God today. He doesn't change. People change, circumstances change, but God stands true. In fact, if you look back, the covenant of Jesus Christ, that was laid out before the foundation of the entire earth. So Jesus was part of pre-existence, knowing that foundation was laid before anything ever happened, before the fall of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. All of this stuff was laid out by God Almighty, including the covenant that he had given to Abraham, all the way to our covenant with the 10 commandments that he had given to Moses. That was all to lead us to this one place that we have today with Jesus Christ. However, there are a lot of things in the Old Testament and a lot of scripture in the Old Testament that we can really learn from, and particularly something that I am really studying quite often or getting involved in is ancient Jewish wisdom, and understanding how that can complement our walk today with Jesus, and putting that together for you on this channel. So we're going to be talking about money today. If that makes you uncomfortable, you're probably not a good fit for my channel. So, but for all of you who do want to live a powerful life, and you want to do things God's way, and you want to understand the way God feels about these things, then you've came to the right place. So if you're here and you want to know more things about how to do business in the way that God wants you to do business, and with the clear-cut path that he's given us in the Holy Bible, then you are in the right place. So please subscribe, hit the little notification bell, write a comment, share the video with somebody that you know needs it. My goal over this year is to impact 100 million people's lives. I know that sounds crazy, but guys, I've been in the marketing industry for quite a long time, and God put this upon my heart, and I know that we're going to be able to do this by the end of 2024. So I just want to welcome you on to this mission and this journey. And I would love to share with you each and every video that we lay out going into the next year. You can also jump into the conversation if you want to get into deeper conversation. We've got a Facebook group called Kingdom Power Life. You can also head on over to kingdompowerlife.com and jump in over there. We're going to have links to all the groups, any free resources that we've created for you is all going to be over in kingdompowerlife.com, and there's a link down here in the actual description. So that being said, enough has been said about that. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera away here a little bit so I can see the screen. We're going to be talking about something that I learned today through my mentorship with a Jewish rabbi, and what a powerful lesson that I learned that I really want to convey to you. And that is in Hebrew. In the Hebrew language, blood and money have very similar meanings. Meaning that if you read about blood and you read about money, the meanings are very similar. In fact, there are quite a few interesting things that you can look into the language and read into the individual letters, because what you guys got to realize in Hebrew, every single individual letter has a particular meaning. And when you begin to start not only breaking down the meaning of the word, but the meaning of the individual letters, you're going to quickly see that money and blood have a lot in common. Now, back in the ancient, Hebrew in Genesis, it was talked of as gold. So what I want you to imagine, that is currency. So from the beginning of time, gold, silver, but primarily gold has been the chosen currency. Now, one of the things you might not know about gold is that there's a few things here. There's a lot of people that would go to say that the only reason that gold is valuable is because God said that it was. And that's true. That is true. But also what you've got to realize about gold, it's not continuously being created by the earth's natural resources. I mean, gold was literally created the moment that the earth was created, and no more is ever going to be created. So there is only so much gold on this earth, which makes it supply and demand. And it also is was created as a very you can easily pour the metal. I mean, you can heat the metal, you can turn it into liquid very easily, and you can pour it into different coins and things like that. So among them reasons, you've got God that says it's good in Genesis. And you've got that would be Genesis 2:12, I believe, where God says that gold is good. And then you've got the idea that no more of it's ever being created. So whatever we can find on this earth, that is it. That's all. And then it also makes a very good exchange method because you can pour it into and stamp it into coins, and you can heat it and it melts very easily. So getting into that, what does blood have to do with money, right? Like, let's just jump into this. And, number one, it's life sustaining. So if you could imagine a world without money, would be, it'd be a world of death. There would be lots of diseases. There would be, it would be very hard to trade and have any kind of commerce, because simply, I may own chickens and you may own cows, but I only have so many eggs and you've only got so much milk, and we've got to find a way to trade. But yet, where are we going to go get, all of these other essential things? How are we going to buy soap? All of this stuff, it just doesn't make for a easy way. When you go back to the original bartering system, it doesn't make for an easy way to trade any kind of labor or your labor for a particular thing, meaning that there would be no specialized labor. Everybody would be essentially laboring for whatever it is, or foraging for whatever it is that we absolutely need. So money actually creates an economy. It is a life-sustaining economy, and it gives us the ability to have multiple different businesses and types of services, and all of the luxuries and the things that we actually see today are life-sustaining, coming from money. And the truth of the matter is, if I've seen people that act like money don't matter, but they spend 8 hours a day, the majority of their waking life, working for it. So if it doesn't matter, then why are you working for it? And if it doesn't matter, why are you, when you're out of it, you are so obsessed with getting more of it? So at some point, we've just got to admit the truth to ourselves. Yes, it does matter. Yes, it is the life-sustaining force here on earth. And no, that does not mean that money is bad. And, a lot of people are going to go back to the Bible and say, well, the root of all evil is the love of money. A lot of people will say this. They'll say the root of all evil is money. But the Bible actually says the root of all evil is the love of money, because you're not supposed to love it. It is a life-sustaining, but it is not something that you love like another human. The only power and authority that money has on this earth that is God-given is the ability to exchange it with other humans in exchange for something that we give each other. So loving money and using people is putting the cart ahead of the horse. You need to love people and use money. So you got to understand, you put it in the right order, in the right hierarchy. In fact, I was reading the other day, I was reading the Hebrew definition of humility, and I'm probably not going to be able to say it word for word, but essentially what it came down to is us knowing what order we are in with God, and knowing that any blessing that we have in our life is given by God, and knowing that hierarchy of our blessings versus what God actually gives us, because at any moment everything can be taken away, and we should be aware of that, and we should be very thankful that God gives us the ability to do the things that we have here. That is humility. It is giving credit where credit is due, because if it wasn't for God, none of this stuff would be around me. None of this money would be available. What does God command us to do? Well, Jesus' 2 top commandments was to love God and to love other people, in which he said that every other commandment hinges on that. It hinges on this, guys. So, and I've done deep thoughts into this, and if you really look into it, it hinges upon these two major commandments. So, what a brilliant man that Jesus Christ is. I say is because he still is. All right. So anyhow, next, blood and money. A big similarity between blood and money is circulation. I mean, have you ever heard the money circulating into society? And where does it go? It goes to where there is a need. If you look at the white blood cells, they're going to go to where there's a need. If you look at, we've got these things inside of us called stem cells. And these stem cells are like healing, repairing cells. When we're young, we got a ton of them. And then when we get older, they slowly start to, we have less of them when we get older. That's why it's so easy for a young child to heal from something, but yet an older person, they could break their arm and it could take them a year to heal it, right? It's simply because there's not as much in an older person, right, compared to a younger person. However, I want you to think of money as flowing to areas to where it can excel, flowing to areas where it can multiply, flowing and circulating through areas where it can contribute to the livelihood or the life-sustaining power of what money is actually intended to do. Okay, so this is stuff that, like, in the ancient Hebrew wisdom, like, they knew this. Like, Jesus knew these kind of things. And I still believe that that's why, a lot of people want to point to the parable of the rich young ruler, which I've already went over this. You can go back to another video. I can explain to you exactly what that means, the rich young ruler. However, the folks that subscribe to that never really talk about how powerful the parable of the talents. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Jesus gave a parable called the parable of the talents. And in the parable of the talents, a talent was like over $1 million worth of gold. And Jesus goes on to say, one man has 5, one man has 3, and one man has 1. And he goes on to literally say that the man who has 5 ends up, doubling it. The man who has 3 ends up, or the man who has 5 ends up, he might end up, I can't remember in the parable. It's either he 10X's it, but he makes a lot with it, right? So he puts it to work. He puts it to play. He puts it to circulation. He's out there making things happen with it, bringing life to individuals with it. He's taken the 5 talents that he'd been given, which the equivalent of over $5 million, and he is multiplying it. And then the second guy, I believe the second guy who doubles it is the one who has the 2 talents. But he multiplied it. He doubled it. And then the first guy, he just hides it. He goes out and buries it and hides it because he knew that the master was, a very, very, very staunch master. He wants you to do something. He did not want to lose it. He had fear that he was going to lose it. So it never went into circulation. It never went into play. It actually got buried into the earth. And Jesus goes on to call this one, yes, sweet Jesus calls him the wicked one that deserves to be kicked out. And where there is gnashing of teeth, which is essentially like, I'm angry, gnashing of teeth. This guy gets kicked out. And there's no other reason that Jesus would have used the example of talents that were worth so much money unless he understood the man, the guy who really multiplied. God is into multiplication. Look at Deuteronomy 1:11. God will multiply you 1,000 times. Imagine that. You put in $1, it becomes $1,000. You put in $1,000, becomes $1 million. On and on and on and on. God is about the 1,000x multiplication over and over and over again. In fact, you'll see it in every single step up. Like every single time somebody, you take 1,000 to 100,000, you take 100,000 to a million, and then you take, a million to a billion, and then, that would be 1,000 million, right? And so on and on and on, you actually see this multiplication every time you hit like a new number bracket or a new 1,000, million, billion. When you hit that, it's a multiplication of 1,000. So it says in Deuteronomy 1:11 that God will multiply you 1,000 times. Jesus knew all of the Old Testament. In fact, he was known as a young child teaching, the teachers and teaching people in the synagogues about, the mysteries of the Bible and really explaining it to them. So because of that, he used this, and that is the power of circulation. And people, what happens inside of us, our blood circulates inside of us. Once your blood stops circulating, you ain't living no more. Once money stops circulating, we are going to have some serious problems. It's going to be a lot like the body dying, because it's going to affect, it's going to merge together. It's going to connect, if that makes sense. So that being said, if we go on to money and blood and money, they both have banks. Guys, do we have a banana bank? Have you ever heard of like a banana bank? Or, you don't, right? You don't. And so we've got blood banks and we've got money banks. That's not a coincidence. There's a lot of things in alignment with these two things. I mean, when you send your blood off somewhere, it goes to a bank. You know what I mean? You send it off somewhere, it's going to a bank. When you send your money to be put in a particular place, in a safe place, it's going to a bank. It is going to a bank regardless. So that is the control of the circulation, is the bank system. Next, the similarities between money and blood is power and influence. You can see that we've got bloodlines as kings. However, today we got kings emerging because of how easy it is now to make money. Guys, I believe I read a study just recently that I think it's 1,700 people a day in the United States of America become millionaires. And I believe it's almost the same amount in the world. So the United States is a land of massive abundance. And essentially, money has the ability to turn somebody into royalty. It has the ability to command a jet plane, to command a car, to command labor, to command a butler, to command or to buy a castle if you want. So it is very similar in your bloodline. If I was the son of a queen or a king, well, then I would be in that royal bloodline, which happens to be the ultimate way that we should be walking once we give our life to Jesus. That's what giving our life to Jesus. He is the King of all kings, and we are in that royal bloodline in the spirit. Now, down here, we're going to experience things. Down here, we're going to experience a worldly system that rejects what we believe, right? But we have so much that we are able to learn from biblical wisdom, living a life in a particular way, contributing to God's children, doing it right, guys, because there is always a wrong way. And I'm going to go over that here in just a moment. So what do we have here? We've got the ability for power and influence. And if some people, tell me that power is not important, well, it says in the Bible that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. What are them three things going to give you? Well, the power is going to give you the ability to move mountains, to have faith, to have strength, to show up boldly, to be an influential example of a human being that other people are going to want to follow. And when they follow him, guess who you're pointing them to? To Jesus Christ himself. That is the ultimate way that we're supposed to yield our power, meaning that we use it to focus down on the way God tells us to live life. And then when surely the incredible things that God is going to manifest in your life, the fruits of the Spirit that is going to appear in your life, are to be an example for other people to follow. And where do we lead them? Not to us, but we lead them to Jesus. I'll take people aside, like, there's this guy named Jesus, man. Like, let me talk to you a little bit about what he's done to me. I didn't get this car. I didn't get this house. I didn't get this business on my own accord, but I learned from the Bible, and this is what God told me, and it led me to Jesus, and this is what this is about. So that gives us the ability to do that. And then with love, we have love for other people. When you love other people and you start serving other people, there is no way you can't get wealthy. Okay? You start caring more about what they need more than about what you need, and you exchange it. That is a gift, by the way. To be able to exchange things is a gift, because when people receive things for nothing, they treat it like it's worth nothing. So the ability to exchange really puts it on their court to do what they've intended to do with it and to respect it, and then puts it on your court to be able to raise and elevate each other both in that transaction. Money is a transaction that was designed to elevate lives together with that transaction. Where you lose and where the enemy wins is when this happens, when there's a huge off balance in the system. And then it's not circulating. Circulation is very important. So the next thing money and blood have is potential for corruption. Now, many of you guys get this because look at this. We got a mother and a father fighting. We got a mother and a father who are not representing what God looks like in the household. And we've got a child that is hurt. And that child is going to take them hurts onto maybe his children, onto other people. It's something that we're going to carry with us. The other potential for corruption with money is obviously getting it the bad way, stealing, all of the stuff that's that of the enemy and the way that the enemy would do things, not the way that God does things, not the way that he intended money to be used, but the way that the enemy uses money with lies, manipulation, stealing, theft, all of these terrible things that come along with this individual right here on the right-hand side with the guns behind him kind of looks like a mafia boss. They love and worship money. And because of that, it becomes their God. And that is where money is corrupted and where it is the root of all evil, because this individual loves it so much that he's willing to hurt the children of God to get it. And then you got a mother and father who love their opinion so much that they're willing to hurt a child as a result of their not representing God in the household in such a way that they ultimately should. So what does that bring us to? That just like love and lust, my friends, good and bad climb the same vine. Everything is going to have like that opposite counterpart, that you've got so much good that you can do with it, and then on the other side of the fence, there's bad. And they look a lot alike. So imagine love and lust. So love and lust look a lot alike. They climb the same vine. They, in a sense, in some areas, mirror each other. However, one of them is eternal, and one of them is good, and that's love. And then lust is obviously not eternal, and it is something that is bad and unhealthy for us as humans. So, that being said, it comes down to the person. Money is an amplifier of who we are. So if we have Christ in our heart, we can amplify our money, circulate our money, impact people with our money, buy people's services and be a contributor in society with our money in such a way that is incredibly impactful for the kingdom of God. Let me tell you something. When prayers get answered, my friends, a majority of the time, they're being answered by somebody coming in with money and using that money to answer somebody's prayers. It takes money to buy food. It takes money to buy clothing. It takes money to send individuals to college. It takes money to start a business. It takes money to do a lot of things on this earth. So you really need to get this out of your heart that it is bad. And how do you do that? Well, I'm going to ask you to believe God. Because like I said earlier in Genesis 2:12, God said the gold of that land is good. And one of the things in ancient Hebrew wisdom that the Jewish community fully understands, meaning that if you look at a Fortune 400, I believe it's called Fortune 400 magazine, there's usually anywhere from 60 to 100 Jewish people that are in Fortune 400 magazine. Now they are, I believe, less than 3% of the United States population, which means there should only be about 8 or 9 of them in there. So by incredible margins, they fully understand that the gold of the land is good. And that's inside of their heart. That is inside of their heart. That's got to be inside of your heart as well. Because now that you're walking with Jesus, The only reason that God will not bless you with money is simply the same reason why a drug addict child, parent's not going to give a drug addict child money, because they know what they're going to go use it for. So if the condition of your heart, you're afraid that money's going to come to you and you're going to be led astray and you're going to go off and do all these terrible things. You're going to become prideful. You're going to become all these things. You've got some conditioning inside to do, because money might harm you more than good. Now, if you've given your life to Jesus and you've committed your life to Jesus and you understand what this is all about, you're going to not only be able to have money, but you're going to be able to have all the fruits of the Spirit that come along with being one with Jesus, that is much more valuable than money could ever be. And that is, just having inner joy when you have this, having the ability to have goodness, kindness, all of these things that we need as human beings and that other human beings need. And you're going to be able to not only distribute and circulate your money around the economy, you're going to be able to distribute and circulate the love of Jesus, my friends. And that's the A1A most important. So, guys, the condition of your heart may be what's holding you back. You can't love it. You cannot love money. You can use it. You got to go out and learn to love people. And when you learn to love people, the way that you get money is by loving on people and by giving them one of your. It's so funny that the parable of the talents, they use the word talents, because in our English language, we call that a talent. You've got a talent inside of you. Well, what are you supposed to give to the world? Your talent that you have inside of you. And in that exchange, in that currency, you want the exchange. Everybody should want the exchange. The folks that don't want to put their money out there and, they keep it in a pond, eventually that pond starts to you ever see like a stagnant pond where no water's flowing in and out, and it's all stagnant, and then there's all that moss growing on top of it, and it starts to smell really bad. It looks terrible. That's the way money is when people hoard it. So, if that's their intent, then you just can't do it. You've got to involve in exchange, and you've got to be the person as well that's willing to pay other people for what it is that they do and give to what they do and contribute to the economy. That's got to be your heart. And when that becomes your heart, that's when the money, the gold of the land, is very, very good based on the condition of your heart. All right, my friends, that is it for today's tutorial training. I don't even know I always say tutorial, training, video, whatever you want to call it. I appreciate you guys for coming along. And again, if you have not subscribed, subscribe. If you have not, head on over to Kingdom Power Life and joined our Facebook group. Just go over to kingdompowerlife.com. Check out all the free resources that we have over there. And check out some of our other programs as well. And look through and see if anything strikes you as being something that is for you. And join the free group. Join the conversation. Come on over to our Facebook group. And we are more than happy to have you. And I do some live videos over there. And we'll do some interviews over there and things like that. So anyhow, y'all, I appreciate you. As usual, I'm going to see you on the next one.